Welcome to the Local Marketing Industry Weekly Update, brought to you by LocalMarketingSource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers. The Local Marketing Weekly Update is for those interested in marketing their local business on the Internet. For free Internet access to education and training courses, visit LocalMarketingSource.com.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, and we are here to bring you our weekly industry local internet marketing update. Now, our next week's faculty call is going to be, well, that's November 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern. We are making some changes to the LMS membership. So those LMS members, stand by in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be very, very exciting. These are some major changes to the membership. We're adding some tremendous value to it. And the good news is anybody that's a member today gets grandfathered into the new program. But this week, I've got some good tips for you. We're going to continue on last week's tips. Those are tips for LMS students as well as for the weekly update that we're going to cover initially. But before I get into the tips, let me just tell you a little bit about what I am going to cover during the weekly update. And first off, anybody that's been in the SEO community knows about or may know about search quality raters, or the document that is leaked into our community. The document's been around for, well, in Google's hands for, 7 or 8 years, I believe, that they talked about their quality raters and whatnot. And it's a 110 or 115 page document, and it discusses all the different factors that Google looks at and how they look at it. Now, it doesn't give us strategy as search engine optimizers, but it gives us a little bit of insight. And Google may go ahead and go public with that. Yelp also adds restaurant menus and images. And finally, I'm going to talk about the future of small and medium-sized businesses with free point-of-sale systems and how POS systems are really changing businesses in a lot of different ways. But before I get into this information, last week's update, I talked about best practices for profiles. And this week, we were going to talk about top tier providers. And next week, I'm going to get into a variety of different second tier and providers of that nature. So on that note, you can take a look at your screen at this point in time, and we're looking at the major search engines. And data providers and search engines are two separate entities. However, in one sense, the one could be the other, but the other can't be one. Now, let me explain a little bit. A search engine. You've got your profiles on Google, let's say. Google Places, in this case, is where you manage it. Google Plus, local, is where it's displayed. And in that, how did Google get this information if you've never given it to Google? Well, Google goes out and grabs it from different sources, different data providers, different secondary providers, and tries to bring it all together. You can also go in to Google and Yahoo and Bing and update this information, and in turn it becomes a data provider to other search engines that have trust and whatnot. So your major search engines, there could be 100 different search engines that are out there, but these are the 4 major search engines that you want all of your listings claimed, and you want to be able to follow the best practices that we talked about in last week's weekly update. And then the major data providers. There could be a list of 15 or 20 different data providers. And the more competitive that your industry is in, the more data providers and citations you want to get from major data providers, whether they be free or paid. But you're looking at the whole subset of Yellow Pages, yp.com, yellowpages.com. Info USA is a major data provider that's out there, and they've been around for a long time. So think old school. So on that note, now we are going to move on to our weekly update, and I was talking about the Search Quality Raters Guidelines and this document. And Matt Cutts has come out and said that they are very seriously considering providing this information. If you've noticed, what Google has done is they've given us more and more and more information over the years in our webmaster tools and different accounts and as SEOers that are out there. So Matt goes on and says, we might be able to make those human quality rater guidelines that we make available to people at Google available to the larger world. I think that would be a good thing, because then people would be able to read through it. Well, yeah, we'd be able to get a better understanding. Matt, we already know that that document is in the SEO community that's out there. But it would be a nice document to be able to have in real time, hopefully updated. Knowing Google, it's likely going to be dated by 6 months, if not longer. But that levels the playing field for SEOers. You know, our industry is changing, and anybody that's in the world of SEO and doesn't recognize the fact that information is readily available. The knowledge that you have doesn't make you any special, more special than somebody that doesn't have it that can go out and get it. Let's face it, you've had a lot of people tell you, you can do that, you can manipulate that, you can, wow, that's rocket. No, it's not. It's not rocket science. It's rather simple. You think Google wants the whole world with the ability to influence its algorithm? Of course they do. Can you imagine if everybody understood Google's algorithm to the same degree that we do? How that would level the playing field in having organic results? It truly would. So it makes sense. Freaky fast. Yelp has really been changing. I remember the days in 04 and 05 when Yelp was just a small little business and they had a few employees and they weren't doing too much. And nowadays Yelp is a major player in the local front. Up against some big companies like Apple and Amazon. So Yelp is finally adding menus to its arsenal of tools. This makes sense. How many times have you tried to look for a restaurant and want to learn about what they have to go and deal with some silly PDF website that they've just scanned their current menu to give you information? You've got to browse through it in weird ways and whatnot. So this company by the name of GoPago is giving away a free POS to small businesses. POS is a point of sale. It's a cash register. A $500 device, a cash register, but an electronic cash register. Well, what you get is you get a cash drawer. You get an Android tablet. You get a printer. On the Android, you've got the software to be able to run credit cards, to deal with cash, to be able to build a loyalty program in, to be able to have electronic payment means through, say, Google's system, payment gateway system, an online system, rewards, coupons, social media, all built into this POS. And the price of it is pretty attractive. It's free. Businesses can go out and get this. The company's name is called GoPago. The cost to be able to have this, and you also get an internet connection as well at no cost. But the real cost is a transactional fee, a 2.85% processing fee. That's what the world is that we're moving to, and it kind of scares me, because every transaction that we do electronically is going to be taxed, let's say. We're going to be paying processing fees, this and that, to be able to get this out. Everything that's electronic, you pay for it. That's the Walmart model, to make a little bit of money off a whole bunch of stuff. What do you think Google wants to do? Giving away this type of technology to businesses, it's a credit card merchant. The credit card merchant business now, all of a sudden, because of GoPago, has got to completely change. Well, I think it's a good thing, but also a bad thing. Paying 3%, just 3% of your entire business everything. 3% of your entire business, front end, goes to just collecting the money. You know, the industry I deal in, the courier industry, their margins range between 3 and 7, maybe 8%. So 3% transactional fees for all transactions can get very, very pricey for small businesses. It's the drawback. That just means the consumer ultimately ends up paying a little bit more money in the end. On any event, this week's local update has been short, and we've managed to keep this one under 10 minutes this week. Typically we run 15 to 20 minutes, but sometimes you can catch me and I go longer. But we got a quiet week this week, likely due to the unforeseen circumstances on the East Coast in the United States, and very sorry to anybody that's experienced that. We're even experiencing problems here in the Midwest all week. My internet, both at home and at the office, has just been very sporadic in and out, and well, big deal for me. But I just can't imagine after seeing some of the images as to the devastation, and it's sad. Till next week.